Okay, good evening. Hope everybody's enjoying their summer so far. This is a regularly scheduled meeting of the Town of Darien Zoning Board of Appeals. It is July 20th. Wednesday, we're in room 206 of Darien Town Hall, live to be certain. First of all, we have a postponement of calendar number 7, 2022, the application of Christian Lavigna on behalf of Geddes and Julia Johnson. That's postponed to September 21st. The board does not meet in the month of August. We'll get right to it. Unless anybody has anything else, we'll go right to calendar 6, the application of Mark Medicki on behalf of Janet Rizzino for property located at 80 West Avenue, Darien, Connecticut. Mr. Medicki. No, Mr. Are you Mr. Medicki? I'm Jeff Williams. I'm the chair tonight, and you've been called. We're starting with you. Calendar, and I'll start again. Calendar number 6, 2022, the application of Mark Medicki on behalf of Janet Rizzino, property located at 80 West Avenue, Darien, Connecticut. Mr. Medicki, I asked you.
You have to go over by the...
Yeah, we need you near the microphone.
Yep.
It's been like 3 years since I've been on in person, so.
We all
Us too, don't worry about it.
Forgive me, yeah.
We're all out of practice, sir. Not a problem.
Can I ask an odd question before we start?
Yes,
Does
sir.
anyone own a black Land Rover?
I rode a black Land Cruiser.
I did. Black Land Rover, there's a lug nut missing on your front wheel, if it's yours.
Sorry, what's happening?
On your wheel in your car, there's a nut missing on the front.
Oh,
wheel
okay,
of the
thank you,
car.
Bob.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
It's kind of dangerous.
That's a violation of NASCAR rules, by the way. I happen to know that.
Where'd you know that from?
Yeah, I'm a NASCAR fan. Okay, let's get going. Mr. Medicki, let's, if you would be so kind, keep your comments to about 10-minute period. We'll obviously let you go over if need be, but what we'd really like to hear is very, very clearly laid out what exactly it is that you have in mind to do with the property and the hardships associated with that property. Okay?
Great. My name is Mark Alex Maydeek, AIA. I'm a registered architect in the state of Connecticut. I've been doing work here 20 years or so. So I've been hired by property owners Janet Rizzino and her son to investigate the possibility of a variance to increase the volume of the existing house. Right now, it has a grandfathered use. From what I understand, that grandfathered use is about 100 years old. Obviously, I have no way to prove that, but it's been used as a multifamily for a very, very, very long time in continuous use. The house faces West Avenue, and it is an older house with, at the front of the house, some nicer detailing, particularly the gable, the porch, and there's a bit of character at the front of the house, which we intend to keep as we proceed with this project. That being said, the size of the house itself right now is rather small, and as you can see from the photographs in the application, at the back sides of the house, it's in a bit of disrepair. There's a reason for the disrepair, namely that Ms. Rizzino wanted to wait to see the possibility of improving the house itself before committing to any improvements to the house. So she's waiting to hear if she's able to do this before she goes and fixes what's going on in the back. But you can see that currently it does need some attention. That the inside as well could be improved. The addition that we are proposing goes out the back and the sides of the house, and actually I'm reasonably sure that we are, because we're removing an existing turnaround, like a circular area here, because we're removing that, I think that we are just equal to or just or a few hundred feet below or above the existing coverage. So we're actually we're pretty tight with coverage, so it's good. Although in terms of allowable coverage, we're well under what we have. Mr. Woodside points out that there are 3 structures currently in the setbacks on the property, and
Excuse me, I apologize for interrupting. Would you be kind enough to move that easel over here?
Sure.
So the board can see it in its entirety?
not drop it this time.
Thanks, Wilder.
Move
Thank
off
you
the
very
cord.
Oh, no.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Sure.
Appreciate it, thank
Yeah.
you.
I was trying to get to the better, but now I'm blocking well.
Well, that's okay.
Okay, so here's West Avenue.
Yeah, you need to be by the, yeah,
Okay, all right.
It's okay, don't worry about it.
by the
Right.
mic. You know what, you can pick the microphone up, just take it
It's
right
like-
out of the holder.
it's like I'm a DJ
and you
at-
can stand wherever
at
you
an
want
event.
to in the room.
All right. This is perfect. I love microphones. This is great. All right, fantastic. Okay, is this good?
Absolutely, whatever makes you happy.
Okay, West Avenue is over here, front of the house is there. The darker gray is the addition garage facing this way, and living space towards the rear of the property. As I was describing, there are 3 existing structures in the setback. One's, they're both, these 2 are kind of sheds, that's a pergola. And as a part of our proposal, we would be happy to relocate those into an approved location so they're no longer in the setbacks. We also are improving, we feel, the vehicular circulation by allowing a sort of designated spot here for the smaller of the 2 units, and then a more private entrance, 2 cars, garage here for the main unit, we're going to call it the main unit of the house. Let's see if there's anything else here to describe in the design. Yeah, I think the elevation, I think, is this. This is, so I believe that most of you have been to the house, but I have a few photographs. And this is the front elevation in which I described, has some nice character, some nice detailing, and we intend to maintain all of that. In fact, it's been improved to a certain extent already. I particularly love this gable angle window at the top, and that stays. And so if you're looking at that photograph right there, and we do our addition, nothing changes, basically. Like it goes out the back and steps down a little bit with the grade, but otherwise it remains the same. It's these other pictures, and you might have better luck looking in the application, but in these other pictures you can see that there's, it's in need of some repair, and there's a solarium that's fogging up and leaking. The rear deck is a bit rotted out, et cetera. So I think that could all, for everyone's sake, stand to be improved. And I'm not going to bore you with the architecturals, except for the elevation that I have here, but this is a little more detail on what we're proposing as far as the layout inside. Of note, perhaps at this floor, that the first unit, the main unit, would take up all of the first floor except for the vestibule and stairs up to the smaller unit upstairs.
And Mark, is this staying a multifamily?
Yes, the intention, so that the proposal, our request for variance is because we want to make the building larger, which requires variance. We're not, depending on how you look at it, I suppose, we're not increasing the non-conformity, meaning it's still it's a 2-family, and we would like to make it 2-family, just a larger 2-family. So that's the intention.
Along those lines, as long as you're there, okay?
Yeah.
Are you providing more room for additional people?
No, that's not the intention. It's
Okay.
the same amount of bedrooms. Actually, hold on. I'm pretty sure we're not increasing bedrooms, are we? We might be.
And bathrooms?
Yes, they are. I think there are my bedrooms.
Yeah, there is a new bedroom in the main unit. There's like a master bedroom kind of on the main unit. Let me see if I have this is turned out the existing. On the second floor here, this is the second floor. This is let's call it the smaller unit, and this is the first floor. Yeah. So here, this would be a bedroom here on the second floor of the improvements. That being said, the bedrooms now are small enough that they almost are too small to be in. So there are more bedrooms, yes.
Okay, so you know that zoning regulations only allow for 4 non-family renters, correct?
Yes.
How many are in there now?
1, 2, 1.
There's only one?
Yeah.
There's 2 and 1 child.
Well, the homeowner. Right.
Right, and there's never been more than 2 people upstairs.
I'm sorry, you have to come forward.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, yes, I apologize. We're all out of practice here. If you'd like to speak, please come forward and identify yourself for the record, please.
Okay. My name is Janet Racino.
You need to use this back.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
My name is Janet Racino. I'm owner of the property.
Uh-huh.
So there's never, since I'm on the property, there's only been 1 or 2 people in the rental unit, and there's very strict regulations on that, and there's me, and my son comes to visit, who's also an owner. That's it.
So one of the units you live in full-time?
Yes.
And you rent out the other?
Right.
But it's never been to more than 2 people?
No, there's normally just been 1 person, but it always ends up like there's 2 people. Now there's 1 person and a child. And so, because I also limited the cars to 1 car, it's not, since I live there, this is not this is just not an apartment house, it's my home. And so I would rather have it completely empty than have any kind of personal difficulties with people in the rental unit. And I take a long time. The current person, I have to say, is not my most ideal tenant, but everyone else before has been just very, very responsible.
And what is your intention for the use of the additional space? Is it to expand the rental unit or to expand your own unit?
What's happened before is the layout of the rooms are just they're not usable. The single bedrooms are tiny. There's a lot of wasted space that is with walls and doors and stuff like that. They cannot be functional in today's lifestyle at all. Like you can't put a bedroom where there's where the porch is and where there's a main door to entrance. This used to be the parlor room. So you can't turn a parlor room into a bedroom. So the bedroom is like a tiny room in the back on the first floor. So even when my son comes to stay, I sleep on the floor because there's no place to sleep, okay? I'm just telling you, it's just not functional. Upstairs, there's a nice sized living room, there's a kitchen, and then there's a small bedroom. But like this, there's to have a second bedroom makes it a more responsible person can move into the space.
So is the answer to my question, it's for both to expand your personal living space and the rental space also?
If I could answer maybe the question. So the main unit increases significantly. So it's like double the size.
When you say main unit, which
So it's called the unit she's in,
Okay.
called the first floor unit, it's more than that, but the first floor unit increases significantly in size, not bedrooms. And then the only increase for the smaller unit, the second floor unit, is that. So there's a
new bedroom.
There's a new bedroom there. So there will be 2 bedrooms in that smaller unit.
As opposed to currently there's 1.
Right.
Okay.
Thank you.
I think the short version is that I don't think she intends to have more than, but she would not have more than 4 people there. If that's important to know, then I think that she
Mhm.
would agree to that, right? So
Mhm.
there's no way to fit more. I mean, the rooms, I'm gonna say the drawings, I might say are a bit deceiving because the existing units are so small. I mean, I think they're 1,000 square feet each now. So they're very small, so it looks like a significant increase, but the truth is they're being increased, I think, almost, a livable, manageable size.
And Mark, do you know what the total coverage is? Is it more than 20%?
I don't know off the top of my head. I might have is the survey on there? I didn't print out the survey, but I think I have it here.
And the increase, do you know what that difference is? I don't mean to put you on the spot, I'm sorry.
Off the top of my head, I don't. I have those numbers. I just don't have them off the top of my head. It would rather be. So here's the new numbers off the existing survey. Yeah, I should have this survey there, but the proposed is 12%.
Okay, so
Yeah.
with the new changes, it would be a
Yes.
12% coverage?
Yes, yeah.
Okay,
So to put it in context, coverage is 3,000 square feet.
okay.
Almost 3,000 square feet, how much is conforming? What's the non-conforming?
It's all conforming. It's all, so it's, the only non-conforming aspect of the project is the two-family. Everything else is conforming.
But it is a two-family now?
Correct.
So you're just asking, you're going to make an addition to a two-family, so you're just asking, can we keep that in place? Okay.
And when we add this 12%, does that still remain conforming?
Yes. But, except for.
Except-
Correct. In every other aspect, we're conforming, except for the.
So there's no coverage issue, there's no variance or setback issue. You're willing to remove the other, you said they're ancillary
Yeah,
for the property?
I mean, one's a pergola, and there's two small sheds that can be, could easily be located into the correct locations. So, yes.
Do we have a location for those,
Okay,
sheds?
yeah. So the smallest one was some, sorry.
Those structures, if you will, are currently not permitted.
Right. They were there when we moved in, when I moved in.
22 years ago? They've been there for 22 years?
They were on the original survey.
Okay.
Okay, they were on the original survey. The smaller one was like a dollhouse kind of a thing, like a playhouse for kids.
Okay.
It's unusable, it's falling apart. The shed is falling apart.
So both those can actually be disposed
They
of
can be
and not
disposed of.
relocated?
Right,
If they wanted to keep one,
the shed is definitely would be an asset to move it up wherever it would be appropriate.
Mhm.
The other was just to hold grapevines, so that could be moved.
That's the pergola.
That's just was to hold grapevines.
And
So,
then, are you relocating any systems? Are you adding central air where there isn't central air, any of those kind of components?
to the house?
Yes.
If possible.
So that would
Just to
mean-
the section.
Okay, so
Just
there would
to
be
the-
mechanical somewhere on here that we don't see?
That's correct. We didn't go that far with the
Yeah.
design, but we
Okay.
would comply.
It wouldn't matter,
It
so
would,
it'd be
it would,
within-
yeah,
okay.
it would be, we have plenty of space for that.
Okay.
Now, you were adding one bedroom, what's the impact on the septic? With the
It
extra?
should be city.
City sewer.
Oh, there is no septic.
And the same amount of people. Just,
Well, that's actually debatable, because I will say, I mean, I'm a realtor from a HUD standpoint, you cannot discriminate against the size of the family.
I know.
So that would be tricky. I mean, if a family comes and they demonstrate that they're financially viable,
I know, I'm a realtor too, so
Okay.
I have to, I have to, in fact, the current person I have to go ahead and accept. I don't have to, as family size, I don't have to question
if
family.
you're living on the property, you're correct, you have a
Yes.
little more say in it.
Yes, I do.
Okay.
So, and I'm a realtor, so therefore, when I advertise, I have to watch what I say and do as well. So I always have limited the cars, because that's allowable. So I said you can only have one car, because most families have two cars. And so I've always maintained that that's a hard and fast rule, to have one car. And that gets me within an order. Okay.
I found a picture of the pergola. I can't find a picture of the shed. I don't know if you'd like to see it or not, but I have it. It's of interest.
No, my interest lies right this time, well, not now, because I'm going to ask you to, well, I'll get there later, but I want to know exactly where you plan on putting these things. Not like we'll move them into the buildable area or whatever. I want to know exactly where they are,
Sure.
or where they're going.
And we want to know as close as you can, the exact square footage of nonconformance in the setback that you would remove. So between the three of them, I don't know if the pergola has square footage, but what the square
I
footage
don't know,
would be.
I don't know how that's defined in,
Yeah, but in rough numbers, the amount of nonconformance that you're proposing to remove.
So it's about 10 by 10 is the
I
shed?
was about to say 10 by 12, so it's about 120 feet there. And then I'm going to say maybe that's a half, call it 50, 170, and then I don't know what you want to call that.
We can get rid of that, that's just totally.
So I would propose moving it right, literally just forward to right there. So the accessory, this is a 10-foot accessory structure setback, so it could be right, literally in front of it, right there. We get rid of that one, apparently the playhouse, and put this shed there.
And then the other one
Give
has
the-
to go
the
near.
mic, please.
Oh, sorry. The other one, in all fairness, should be near the grapevine. Okay, so that's gonna, like, there's a grapevine there.
But that's a pergola, it's an open structure and it's just
I
a
know,
terrace.
I know.
Yeah,
So
I'm
where
wondering.
you
I
said
don't see the
we're
picture.
relocated, it would have, you know, the only reason would, because the grapevines are really old, I would have to be like near there. Does that make sense?
But they're saying it has to be out of the setbacks. So
No,
they're
no,
saying
yeah,
where, and I was
absolutely.
just
Like
pointing to-
wherever the setback ends in front of that, but in that location, because there is a grapevine there.
Mhm.
Does that make sense? I can't move it over here, because that's no reason for it.
Understood completely. If it's in a conforming area, I believe the board's, well, I know the board's gonna be perfectly fine with that,
Okay.
because it is perfectly fine.
Okay.
But that's something that we wanna make sure of.
No problem.
Okay.
Yeah, no problem.
Any other questions I could?
Sure. So, as I'm sure you know, we're only empowered to grant variances in limited situations. And state law defines those situations, and one of the principal things that we have to find is that there's something unique about your property, something that stands out as compared to the other property in the neighborhood. And then once we have determined that, we have to next find that that uniqueness has created some specific hardship for the property owner. So could you articulate for us, I've heard a little bit in the back and forth about some of the hardship, but can you articulate for us how this specific property is unique and qualifying it for a variance and what that hardship is?
Well, I think that there's the hardship question, but I also believe there's a bit of, I guess, to me, ambiguity as to what constitutes a increase in nonconformity in this case, to me. Being that the nonconformity is 2 families, we're not increasing to more than 2 families, meaning the work we're suggesting to do here doesn't increase the nonconformity in that sense. So it's not that there's a hardship so much. I mean, there is an existing house. It can't be subdivided because of its size. It has some historical value and some character towards the front. So there are those issues. There's also a bit of disrepair of the house itself. But beyond that, I believe that the question is this indeed an increase in the nonconformity? And my opinion is that it's not. But
So your answer to my question is, we don't need to show those things because we don't really need a variance because this isn't really subject to a variance because we're not doing anything to expand non-conformance. Is that what I'm understanding?
That's not exactly what I'm saying. No, I'm not saying, I believe that, I think the house needs improvement. I mean, I think it's sort of almost, it needs improvement to be livable. It's just too small, and it's an existing use. So the hardship would be, it's an existing small house that needs to be increased size-wise for these families to live like we would like to live. That's the hardship. And I started the wrong, I let the tail wag the dog in my response, and I apologize. But I was,
I'm sorry, can you repeat what you just said with regard to what the hardship is? I'm sorry.
There's an existing house.
Yeah, I know.
That has been grandfathered in size-wise, but that the hardship is, well, the existing character, the old nature of the house, size-wise and detailing. But because of the size, we'd like to increase it, to be able to live like a house, like I think people would like to live.
I think another.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
The
okay.
microphone.
I
Thank
think
you.
another point, you said uniqueness. So this house is over 100 years old. The layout of the house is over 100 years old. It has very little bearing to today's lifestyle, okay? It has parlor room. It's got middle room, like where in today's lifestyle has no use. And then it has a tiny bedroom and a tiny kitchen. Okay, so in uniqueness, that uniqueness does not fit today's standards in both sections. So that's the biggest rationale for wanting to change it. Not because they want to make it bigger, okay, but because the current section is totally not conformable to put furniture in, to have a flow, to have anything normal. And the new addition is going to allow that.
But can I ask, in all due respect, is that a reflection on the unique character of the house alone and that it's old, or is it a reflection of that you have an old house that you want to operate as a two-family rental property also?
No, it always was a two-family, okay? So I'm just pointing out the fact that to invest money in it, nothing can be changed, okay? Because of the walls and the structure, and it's 100 years old. This is a tear down, okay? This would, someone looking at it would say, knock it down and rebuild it to modern structures. I'm saying, I can't knock it down, but what I want to do is put something livable next to it. In all honesty, the main house is almost unlivable. Okay, it's almost unlivable. So that's why it needs that expansion. And in the back, there's 2 porches in the back. They're totally useless in today's, it was like an upper level, like a lower level. So that's the uniqueness of the property. And to maintain it, to have that historic look in the beginning and utilize it, but the livability has to be included.
And Janet, did you consider going back to a single family?
Did I consider going back to a single family? There's various reasons, there's various reasons not to. I've been talking to, this department for over a year in terms of like, well, if you just do it a single family, bingo, you're back in shape.
Yeah.
And when I bought it, it was a two-family. It was a two-family for a reason. Even if I wanted extended family, which I do, the two-family comes into play. So there's just various different reasons why I wanted to maintain it.
Okay, thank you. I'm gonna give you another shot at this, okay? Because what I'm hearing so far is the uniqueness to the home itself. And what I'm equally as interested in is, to use Kevin's word, the uniqueness of the property. We need to come up, well, you need to come up with reasons, a hardship as to why we would allow you to increase the non-conforming of the two-family use of the property. That's what I'm looking to hear, and I haven't heard that yet. I've heard the uniqueness about the house, and I'm pretty sure all 100-year-old houses are unique, but I need to know more about the hardships associated with the property, the land itself. That's in addition to what I need to hear.
I guess I would just maintain that the historical nature of the house. The property itself is, it's got some topography to it going back, but I think that is limited towards the back as well.
Okay.
I can just, yeah. It's like a double lot property. It's a large property, okay, with large frontage on West Avenue.
Mm-hmm.
So right now, most of the property is with a large circular driveway, okay? In terms of like usage of uniqueness of the land, is there, like you're saying, is there a problem with the property that needs to be corrected by zoning? Is that what you're saying? Is there the property is overly large.
Yeah, I mean, the basic concept of the statute is that there's something different about your property that's creating a problem for you. Like imagine in a steep slope at a 45-degree angle out the back, so you can't really build on it, so you have to be in the front setback. That's the kind of idea, something different that you are experiencing that your neighbors are not, that would justice would only be done to you in the use of your property if we allowed you to build somewhere where you wouldn't have otherwise. That's the idea, something different that's created a problem.
Thank you.
And how does that address the variance because if it's a two-family? I'm just saying that, that's, I mean, I'm again not understanding where I understand what you're saying, that you need zoning and you need a variance if the property doesn't allow it, is unique to this, and you need to change it.
Well, I mean, the answer to your question is the law allowing variance may not fit for the situation you're in and what you're looking for, which is you have a use that is non-conforming, that's not allowed under zoning, but for the fact that it was in existence before the zoning code. And you want to expand your property, but continue to do the use that's not allowed in this district. And the truth is, absent some other way to allow for that, the variance law might not be a remedy that you can use, but I don't know, we have to discuss it more internally, review statute. I understand some of your neighbors want to testify and weigh in, and we're gonna hear all that and debate and look at the statute again and see what we can do.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well said. With that said, do you have anything further that you'd like to?
Not this time.
Not at this time. Okay. Then I just have one question, and we are going to have some neighbor comment, and then we'll make a decision as to what we're going to do going forward. And I have some thoughts along those lines. I have one concern though. There has been some comment from the neighborhood relative to the condition of the house, which you actually explained or testified to, whatever you want to call it. Okay. Here's my issue. You started out by saying that you haven't fixed up, the house has not been maintained over what appears to be a long period of time because the owner wants to see what's going to happen with this decision before she makes any repairs. Now, what I want to make sure of is that you're not stipulating the board, because the board, it's not like if we say no, you're not going to fix it up. That's not really being very neighborly, and I don't want to see that happen.
It's not my house to fix up, so I can't commit to that. We can ask the
Well,
owner.
the owner just
But
came to the
I just
podium.
wanted to add that it's not waiting for this variance hearing that has put the house in the state of disrepair. There's some, well, actually, I'll let you answer. That's actually probably for you to answer.
Okay, so the front of the house, the porch was completely gut replaced into the original fashion, okay? Doors were replaced, shutters were redone, okay? The gutters, everything in the front of the house is completely taken care of. What has not been taken care of is the solarium, okay? Because the solarium is covered in plastic, it leaks, and it's like, what is gonna happen? It's more of a difficulty to me. The back two sections, the porches, they have to be torn down. Why should they? So the only repairs were, because those were gonna be the items that were gonna be redone with the permission, with the zoning permission, okay? It wasn't not done because, oh, if we don't get it, it's just like, let's figure out where we're putting our money, okay? You can't replace the solarium with something. Oh, yeah, well, the house was, my father was with me when I first moved in, and I was, it's just me, I was taking care of him and my own business, and, but every, like, I put in gas heat in the house, I did every other repair. The bathroom, like, froze up, I had to put in a new like, all this stuff, but the outside was always, like, the front of the house was always maintained, only the side. And I put in new fencing. I mean, I've really, I haven't skimped on anything.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, if you have anything further, great. Are you good, sir?
I am.
Okay. Any other questions, comments from the board? No? Okay. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time, and I apologize for going over. Do I have, is there anybody from the audience that wants to be heard on this? Yes, sir. Please, come ahead or forward or whatever.
Can I leave these up here?
You can leave them up there for now, sure. Identify yourself if you would, sir.
I'm John Lane, I live next door, 82 West Avenue,
Could you spell your last name, please?
Lane,
Thank you.
What was the address, 82?
82.
You live at 82?
I live at 82, yeah, my wife and 2 kids and I live at 82 West. And just want to say, you know, Janet's been a good neighbor, we've had no problems with the fact that it's a 2-dwelling or 2-family house up until now. My only concern is that it appears from the plans that they sent to us that the upstairs unit's going to go from a 1-bedroom, 1-bath to a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. One would then naturally assume there'll be more people then occupying that space, which is our concern. I guess up until now, it's generally been just 1 or 2 people, no problems with noise or traffic or cars or anything like that. So we have no issue up to now. I just wanted to understand, you know, whether this is true that it'll be a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and how many tenants, you know, that are going to be going into the new facility.
Mm-hmm.
That's my concern. Because obviously, all the other homes in the area are 1 single-family homes, and we want to kind of maintain that, you know, sort of, you know, situation. I mean, when you meet Darien's the kind of town, it's a wonderful town, we love living here. We want to maintain the kind of, you know, neighborhood that we have.
Mm-hmm. Understood. Okay. We're getting considerable neighbor feedback, so we appreciate your comments, and we'll certainly make note of those. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Well, and then also the bottom unit is, which is currently also a 1-bedroom, 1-bath, looks like it's going to be now a 2-bedroom, 2-bath. So again, I don't know if that means there's potential to be more folks.
Understood completely. Okay, we'll take that into consideration. Thank you so much. Is there anybody else from the audience that wants to be heard? Sir? I don't mean to stare at you, but you're sitting there.
Well, I'm sitting straight ahead of you, sir, and I'm the only one wearing a mask, so I'm probably a natural target. That's fine. My name is Daniel Teschner. I live at 79 West Avenue. I can spell it.
Thank you.
Teschner. Me and my wife and my just born daughter last week are living in 79 West Avenue as a single family. I'm kind of echoing what my other neighbor had said before as far as concerns or questions are concerned. I wanted to share one other point, though. I was a little bit taken aback. I initially got the whole proposal, which said like on July 2nd, and I got it a week later, oh, it's just a zoning setback, and I kind of folded it and put it away. And a week later, we got a letter from the architect, oh, by the way, that was an error. We really want to increase the footprint. And that only got here on Monday. I feel that's a little bit short notice to really think about this and comment.
Okay. All right. Thank
That's
you.
all I wanted to share.
Thank you very much. Okay. So here are my thoughts. Unless the board feels that they're in a position to make a decision right now regarding this application, I'll close it. But I'm willing to continue it, and I probably would prefer to continue it for a couple of different reasons. One, there's, as I've mentioned, considerable neighbor comment. A number of them are on vacation. We don't meet in August. The next meeting is September 21st. We will need approval from the owner to extend to September 21st because it's beyond the 35-day period. So we'll need that approval. If we don't get it, we'll figure something else out. So I'm willing to continue it. I'm willing to continue it for a couple of reasons. One, I want to give them yet another shot at trying to explain to me what the hardships are related to this property, period. Number two, I would appreciate, and I think the board deserves, more neighbor input about the activities, their thoughts, and so forth. With that said, Barb, I'm ladies first. I'm going to you first.
Oh,
You want to continue, or you think you're ready?
that's up to them, but I think they're better off continuing. I don't see a clear hardship.
Mm-hmm.
I think it is tricky from a realtor standpoint. I don't think you can really call who moves in there. You can limit it you cannot determine, you cannot make that, you cannot define who moves in
Yeah,
there.
I know.
So it does concern me, and I understand it's always been a two-family, you want to keep it a two-family, what you're asking is, can we just keep it the way it is? We're just asking to improve an existing two-family. The problem is zoning just really doesn't allow for that unless there's a clear hardship, so I'm struggling with it too. I don't know what to say. I would like you to keep your existing situation, but you are in a single-family neighborhood. This is a tough one for us. As you presented it, I don't know how I would approve this, so that's why I think Jeff's suggesting that you continue.
Yeah,
Am I off?
I agree. We should continue.
Matt?
Yeah, I mean, I'm leaning in favor of this, I guess, but I would say like, in continuing, I would like to know more about, in one of the emails I received, they said they potentially could have 8 unrelated people living there with the new addition, so they, for whatever reason, they think that you can double the number of unrelated people that live due to these changes, and I'm hearing that it's not. It sounds like we're just upgrading an existing rental unit from a 2-bedroom to a 3-bedroom, which that sounds reasonable to me. I tend to kind of see the way you said it, where this is an improvement on an existing 2-bedroom house.
To Matt's comment, like if they were just improving the main residence and the rental was not increasing in size, that'd be a little harder for me, a little easier for me to take.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Okay, so that is, I guess, my comment. I understand the argument and I get you. If I were you, I'd be trying for the same thing. You're just trying to take what you already have and make it better. It makes sense. I just think the risk is that there's very little control over that once you do it. It could rent to a 4-person family. It could. People need rentals in Darien.
Mm-hmm. She
So-
tries to offset that with the
Right.
parking situation.
The
but,
parking, I agree.
You know,
it's
that,
not
I
like-
don't think that that's a total fix.
It's not a total, it's like, Federal's done the same thing by putting no bathtubs in units to discourage families. There's ways you could discourage it, but the
Did they
reality
really?
is,
Why would they discourage families?
Excuse me,
Yeah.
can I come up again?
No.
No.
Can we close it?
Sorry.
Okay.
We're trying to help you here, sir. So to give me a moment.
Okay.
We'll talk about federal later,
Yeah.
but in any event, I wasn't aware of that. Okay, you guys, I think I'm good on my left. Person on my right. Thoughts?
Yeah, no, I guess from my personal perspective, I give a little constructive advice to the applicant, which is, from my view, it would be very difficult to approve a variance here based on strictly the failure to identify something unique about the property and a hardship. Having said that, there are other means and things in our toolkit we can use to grant variances. For example, if you're reducing the nonconformance, then that's a thing that can give us a justification to grant a variance. And there is a idea on the table to grant that. Now, there's no hard and fast rule that the board has about how much of a reduction in nonconformance you have to give in order to get a variance. So we kind of look at it holistically at the whole picture. So my advice to the applicant would be, you'd be wise to work with the neighbors and figure out something that would be a universal approach to us of support about how we're going to fix up the house or the porch or whatever needs to be done, how we're taking steps to ensure that this does not end up being 8 unrelated people, whether that's possible or not. And if the application came back in September and there was a reduction in nonconformance and the neighbors were generally supportive and the house was going to be improved and was going to be better for the community in a number of ways, then me personally, I would look more favorably on it than I do today. So that would be my piece of advice to you, to work with the neighbors.
Agreed.
But absent that, and because of that, I would support a continuance.
Yeah, that's really the direction we should go. We're trying to work with you guys here, and we are. I am going to move to continue this. Not that I need to move, but some of the other things that I'd like to know is, again, exactly what the other 3 structures are, what's going to happen to them, where are they going, what's the square footage of the nonconformity, how much you're changing that, which is the same thing. How much square footage of nonconformity are you changing by moving them into a conforming area? I need to know things of that nature. So, without being condescending, do a little homework, and then come back on September 21st. I would appreciate your approval for the continuance. Otherwise, my sense right now is, because I'm not continued this yet, my sense right now is if I go to vote, So I appreciate you working with staff on that.
We'd like a continuance. yes.
Okay, great. So with that, I'm going to continue this hearing until September 21st. Okay? Whew. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, no worries.
Thank you.
And I apologize.
And take care of the lug nut.
Yeah, take care of the lug nut. Okay. Ugh.
They all go on the connected tire to the only employee is fine. But you should.
Number 8. I'm on number 8. Okay. Sorry. Okay, moving on. The next calendar application is number 8, 2022. The application of Wilder Gleason on behalf of.
That's a good try.
I'm gonna try. Hang on. Riddell? Rydell. Not bad.
Close.
Rydell and Aaron Monique.
Minnick.
I'm sorry. You know, I'm Jeff Williams. You know, it's kind of easy. Kid. Yeah, for a property located at 25 Tokenique Trail. Mr. Gleason, I apologize for the time I spent on that first application, and you know what I'm going to ask next. So, if you would be so kind, fire away. The floor is yours, sir.
COVID really changed some things. And I find that working this way is way easier, and hopefully is able to, let me just give you.
Do you need the easel?
No.
Would you mind moving it so Kevin can see? Thanks.
Yeah. So, Wilder Gleason, I'm here with Damien and Aaron and Dan Conlon, the architect, and we're here talking about a property at 25 Tokenique Trail. And I'm going to do a little bit of it, and then Dan's going to do a section of it. This property was purchased in December of last year. The house was built in 1920 on a rock ledge, far above the front yard grades. The ledge is up at like 20, 25 feet, and the grades of the house are at 18. I'm sorry, it's closer to 30 feet, 28 to 30 feet. It's long and narrow, and the house itself is not where this is, sorry. It's this house here, okay? This is the house, the driveway comes in here, it has a loop, and it's shared with the neighboring properties owned by Mark and Margaret Maybell. And the Maybells have written a letter of support, which is part of the record. So they've looked at this, they're in favor of it. The other neighbor is the Barksdales, they live here. They can't see this house. Their views are this way. They have a garage, and I guess there may be some habitable space up there that might look at it, but it's across a wetland, and then there is the cliff on which this house, or rock ledge, on which this house was built. The next closest neighbor is basically around here. So the most directly affected neighbor is fully in support of this application. It's a long, narrow house built a long time ago, and the rooms go from room to room. You don't have a corridor. There's no, it's like a train. You go from one room to another room to another room. And that's because it was built on this narrow ledge. As So I'm going to take you through some pictures. And the first picture here is the garage, and I'm in the driveway a little bit. The garage is in the front over here. The building height, which is what we're asking for. We have a variance. Building height now is 35.3, and we want to go up 1.6 feet. And building height is determined under our regulations by the grade plane, which is the average grade around the base of the building, up to the midpoint between the peak of the highest roof, or the ridge line, and the eave that's next highest. So because of this 1920 turret, our building height is measured between this eave and that ridge, that peak. So we're way up here. And that's above the ridge line of the attic of the rest of the house. We're at 35.3. And that's with the perimeter of the house being up and this edge right next to the rock ledges, up at elevation close to 30. So here's, this is the garage, the side of the garage. There's a car here, and there's there's steps that lead up, scissoring, to basically this side of the house. And this is where we want to put the addition, right in between the garage on the north end of the house. This is the view from the driveway, looking at the water, which is what sells this house. It's spectacular, because you're up so high. But as you're looking, here's, there's a terrace on the back, and there's a stairway. It's like 21 steps to get up to the terrace. 21 steps from grade right here. I mean, I was exhausted when I went up here. Here's a picture from the dock, looking up the ramp. There's the elevated terrace. And that terrace on this edge is about 2.5 feet below the upper terrace, which you'll see, I believe, in another picture, right here. So here's the lower terrace, and we have 4 steps up to the upper terrace, and then 2 steps up into the living room. Living room's at 30, elevation 30. Master bedroom up here, but you can see, you don't even see the turret here. Here's the view as you're coming back from the dock. There's the 21-step metal terrace going up to the lower, metal stairway going up to the lower terrace. And this back here is the garage at the beginning of the property. So I've taken you from the north down to the south. Now we have to go to the west. And I'm up at the terrace, and I'm looking at the west side, which is the side next to the Barksdales, and you see there's rock. Look at that rock ledge. That's where the house is built, up here. That's at elevation 30. And it goes all the way back. This is the magnificent views you get for this house. This is the west side of the house, looking from the edge of the garage, basically, and you can see the rock ledge that we saw on the south end is coming right up here, and the house is built right at the peak of the rock ledge. It is steep. It is really, really steep. That's topography. That's hardship. This air conditioner violates setbacks. It will comply. We are reducing nonconformities. It's 24 feet from the property line. It needs to be 25. We are moving it. This is where the addition is proposed, and here's the stairway that you can see going up and scissoring. And it's a 2-car garage at base grade in the ground level with a nanny room addition above and some corridor space. And because this addition is located down at elevation 18, the average grade plane from which building height is measured is going to drop. And any addition you do on this, unless an addition on the existing building footprint, is going to result in an increase in building height. You cannot add to this house. On the west side, because You're close to setbacks, and who's gonna build on this? I mean, if we've got the setback and come out here, you're gonna get a drop in the grade plane. The same thing happens here. Then this is the logical place for any addition. So, existing survey, you've got full size in the presentation materials that are submitted materials. We're 0.585 acres in a 1 acre zone, so we have an undersized lot. It's non-conforming as to lot width, front yard setback, rear yard, and building height. It's a narrow lot. There's the steep rock ledge on the west up to an elevation of 25. It's actually more than that. There's an existing 4-bedroom residence built on the top of the steep rock ledge in 1910, well before zoning regulations were adopted in 1925. So this house existed 15 years before zoning was adopted in Darien. It's narrow with no circulation hall space. It shares a common driveway with the Maybells. The Maybells' main driveway to their house is on our property. That's unique. There is a separate 2-car garage in the front that has a guest sleeping quarters in it. So that was probably, the driver in 1910, or maybe it was the stables, who knows? But, and it may have been an apartment there. It doesn't have kitchen and cooking facilities now. So we want to keep that, but there's a safety concern because the garage is over 100 feet from the front yard. You have to go up 3 feet of elevation. You have to climb 10, 12 stairs from the base of the front steps up to the first floor height. And there's thinking that by putting a 2-car garage here on the ground level with a nanny's room above, we can increase safety. So that's one of the things we're looking at. So here's the safety issue with parking a car and walking 100 feet to get to the front stair. It's up actually 15 stairs to the front door. We want to have the garage incorporated as part of the house with internal circulation. So in inclement weather, we don't have to go outside and climb steps outside. And we're not asking for a portico over this. We now have, with this addition, internal circulation that's safe. The existing building height is 35.3. We're 5.3 above what's allowed. Why? Because of the turret, because of the location that was chosen 15 years before zoning was adopted in Darien, well before our somewhat screwy calculation of height. Building height was adopted in the 1980s. And that immediately made it legally non-conforming. And there's nothing you can do to this house without getting a variance here. Due primarily to the turret. Okay? These plans work with the existing topography. The new garage is at elevation 18. It's the grade adjacent to the garage foundation, the new car garage that's part of the house. And because we're adding foundation at a lower elevation, the grade plane drops, and we're fixing the HVAC units. So we're going to be reducing nonconformities. We're adding a 2-story, 1,538 square foot addition. That's basically a 2-car garage, 700-800 feet, with a nanny's room above and a little bit of circulation. And that's per the plans. And I'd like Dan Conlon to take you through the plans briefly, and I'll finish up.
Appreciate your comments. Are you done?
No, I'm going to wrap up at the end.
Okay.
Okay?
For the record, Dan Conlon, I'm the architect for the project with
Could you
offices
spell
in
your
North
last name,
Connecticut.
please?
Conlon.
Thank you.
So I just walk you through briefly the proposal for the architectural layout. If you can maybe help me advance those slides as I go
I'll be
through.
happy to do that.
Basically, as Wilder described, we're going to do essentially
Yeah, there you go.
essentially a 2-story addition We're gonna have a garage which is on grade with the existing driveway, so we're matching the existing grade, so there's no change to grade there. Most of the lower level of this building is crawl space because it's built on rock ledge. There's a small finished area that we're connecting to with our addition, so you'll be able to move from the garage up through the main house without going outdoors. Next slide up. Above, we're planning on expanding an existing study area in a conforming manner and building a new bedroom, bath, and laundry facilities, which will be above the garage. And then above that, in the attic level, we have very low headroom storage up there. So the height of our addition is I think it's less than 18 feet, the actual addition itself. So everything that we're doing is conforming. So we conform the setbacks, we conform the height, we conform the coverage. And the design of the structure is done to bring the apparent height of the building back down to the grade. So instead of a cornice line all the way up above the second floor, the cornice line of this addition is actually at the first floor level. So we're bringing that roof all the way down. So as you approach the house, the apparent height of the building is actually reduced. And I think if we go back, Wilder, if we could, just to slide 5, because I think that told the whole story, which was the photograph of it, forward number 5.
Which one? Number
5.
I've got 5 up there, but there's.
No, 3.
Oh, sorry.
There we go. So basically, we're building in this area right here. Okay, we're attaching to this house. We're bringing this roof line all the way down here. The reason we're here for a variance is this little bit of earth right here is going to end up inside the garage. And when we do that, our average grade, which is currently calculated here, gets calculated down here. That's why we're here in a nutshell. And this, shows the height of that turret, which is the thing that's established at the top of the building.
Mm-hmm.
So I won't belabor the point, but I think Wilder's made the case effectively and explained exactly what we're doing here. So I'll let you finish up.
Okay,
Thanks very much.
Is the existing garage becoming the nanny suite? Is that what I'm looking at? Or the study?
No, the existing garage will remain unchanged. So currently, there's a garage with a room above it, no cooking or heating facilities, and a bath. That's going to remain just as it is.
Okay.
Okay, and then the room above the garage in our addition will be the nanny's room, so it'll be inside the house. So we're adding a bedroom to the house, leaving the existing detached structure as is.
And so there will be now a 4-car garage when you're done?
We'll have 4 cars.
Got it.
So the current garage is being used as a garage?
Yes,
Correct.
it is now.
And once, if and when this improvement is constructed, it will continue to be used as a garage?
Correct.
Correct.
They have a nanny. There are 2 cars for the adults. The nanny will have a car, and as the kids get older, there may be another car. Who knows? In my household, that's what happened. They were junkers, but that's what happened.
Well, everything's going to be attached. It's not a detached structure.
What's proposed is attached.
Right, okay.
This is it, it's attached, this is the existing garage, and it's being integrated right into the house. And what I think Dan did is it's beautiful aesthetically.
It is
Dropping
beautiful.
that roof line and coming down. I mean, it's, the architecture blends in beautifully with what's there now. So, I mean, this is a nice project, and it's not big, ambitious, brawny, and all that sort of stuff.
So other than the height, what's the non-conforming?
That's it.
What portion of it? So
Everything.
there's nothing that's not.
The only thing we're asking for is a height variance. We
A
meet
foot and a
everything.
half-ish.
Yeah, a foot and 1.6.
It's already a foot, 1.5 over, and you're asking for a little bit more.
It's
5.3.
We're
5.3
5.3 over,
Okay.
and we want to go up 1.6.
But that's a whole measuring thing from the, if you.
I get it.
and-
Yep. How do you
That's fine.
determine what baseline is? Because the
Yeah,
property-
and because of that
I get
turret,
it.
and that's the architectural uniqueness of this house.
Understood completely. Are you done wrapping up?
Nope. I know you want,
Just a
so,
set of Ginsu knives, too.
hardships. So, unusual size of the lot, we're undersized. Unusual shape, long, narrow, front to back. Unusual placement of the house in 1910 or before, on top of a rock ledge with a 10-foot elevation change between the front yard and the habitable first floor. The long, narrow building area created by the adoption and upgrading of the zoning regs. The unusual topography of the lot on the east side entry at elevation 18, and the main level 10 feet above, and a steep rocky cliff on the west side, which limits any construction. The placement of the house on top of the large rock outcrop with a 10-foot elevation change, and the need to, now the other thing we didn't touch on is we've got to upgrade the septic system. Because when we bought the house, the septic system was sketchy. And as a condition of that, my clients agreed they'd take the risk, and they've designed a new septic system, which is part of this project. And it's designed by Redness and Mead. It's going to bring everything up to code, and we're good for another 100 years. But that septic system is going in the front yard, just beyond the driveway turnaround. And we're going to modify the driveway turnaround, which is not something you need to care about, but it's something P&Z will address next week, hopefully. But so we have real hardships, and we are having a slight reduction in nonconformity by making that AC unit comply. And then we have the neighbors' email support, which frankly I think is huge, and it was unsolicited. I mean, they're the next door neighbors. They own 2 properties next door, and they said, we support this 100%. And they're the ones who are most directly affected. So,
Great.
we're done.
Good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay, with that, any questions from the board?
Just quick one. So you're happy with the uniqueness, but why do you need this new garage? Is it this?
There's a safety
thing?
concern.
Is that the sole basis?
I mean, everyone would like to have a garage enclosed with your house, but with this house, it's 100 feet away. You're coming, Damien works in the city, he drives home at night. In climate weather, he's going to be slipping up these stairs. It just is much wiser to have a garage incorporated into the house. And you have a nanny with kids who may be unloading. Do you want her schlepping 100 feet from the garage to the front yard? You know, it just, this makes sense.
Okay.
In my mind.
Okay. Anything else from the board?
Great.
I have to ask, but is there anybody from the audience who would like to be heard on this?
We got him.
Okay. This hearing is closed.
Great. Thank you.
Okay. You know, I don't know what. We're moving to calendar 9 now.
They're not here, yeah.
Well,
Yeah, they are.
why don't I have the calendar 9 packet? I read it this afternoon. Where's mine? We can share, but I don't know what. Are you?
I am representing them.
Oh,
You ready? Yeah, I know
I'm
you
ready
are.
to rock and roll.
I read the application. I wonder if I left it in the office. I'll share with somebody. Don't worry about
Okay,
it. Don't worry.
I have,
No worries. Hang on just one
I have
second.
copies of my presentation for you. If
Perfect.
that would be
Okay,
helpful.
so I guess your client's not here?
My client is not here, he's in the West Coast.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, we're moving on to calendar number 9, 2022, the application of Gleason and Associates on behalf of Charles and Kristen Collier. What?
Are we closing number 8 officially?
I did close it.
Oh, you did?
Yeah,
Okay,
I
missed that.
did close it.
Okay.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you. And you know I know how to pronounce Colliers. Okay. Yeah.
So, I have the privilege, Wilder Gleason, Gleason and Associates representing Charlie and Kristen Collier, who bought the house I've always wanted to own. This is a house on Pear Tree Point Road. It's on the west side. It is something you miss as you're driving down, but it's the brown house that looks like a Japanese, had a Japanese style fence in front of it. And you access it here, and the property is, the Collier main house is here up the hill. Julie Potter owns the house down here, and her house is set back there, and there's nobody else nearby. The property down below is 90 Pear Creek Point Road, which is the former school. It has a series of little slivers of waterfront parcels that are now part of the 4-lot subdivision. that is under development, and then you have a house way north. And you just don't see this. And it's private, and it's really cool. So, as you come in the driveway, this is what you see. And you've got these big eaves and all that other stuff. And what I see as a zoning lawyer is a non-conforming HVAC compressor that's hanging over the water. This is the water line right here, and it was built with permission over mean high water. It has big eaves, and up here is the enclosure for an oil tank and generator. This is going to be at elevation 15, which is where it's supposed to be, because we're in AE elevation 14 flood zone, and the equipment's got to go up to elevation 15. Our ground floor is elevation 9. This was built in 1960-61 with permissions, and that's 18 years before we had FEMA regulations. So you have a garage on the first floor with habitable space, 2 bedrooms on the second floor with a kitchen and a fabulous southern view and a deck looking out that, and a master bedroom on the third floor. And the variances we need are basically because we're going to take this AC compressor and put it up here, and it's going to not meet front yard setbacks. Instead of being hanging over the water, minus 4.5 feet into the state's property, we will now be some 59 feet or so, 55.9 feet from the center line of the road. And we're proposing a dormer up here for the master bedroom. It's a walkout, basically deck. And it's going to be really cool. So this is the AC unit that's hanging over the water, and there's the dock, and it's low tide, and you can see part of the view going down the river. This picture is the image of the front. This is the front of the house. This is the enclosure for the generator and the oil tank. We're taking the oil tank out and converting to propane. And we're going to take, I'll get to it. But here's the view up the deck, from the dock up towards the house. You can see the deck out of the kitchen area and from the bedroom on the water side. Picture looking at the south side, a lot of glass, as it should be. Lovely terrace here, a nice landscaped area up here. And then this is the front looking back at the house, and what I wanted to show here is the non-conforming propane tank for which I couldn't find a permit. That violates front yard setbacks. And we're going to take that and make it like a 2,000 gallon or 1,000 gallon tank and bury it underground, so we're eliminating that non-conformity. And it will be anchored. It doesn't have to be anchored because it's above the flood zone. We're in a zone X. So this is a picture of the oil tank and the generator as they exist now. Oil tank goes away, we get the propane buried, and we bring our AC compressors up here, both of them. So the assessor indicates the house was built in 1961. It's valued at $956,800. It's 3 bedrooms, 3,000 square feet, basically. That's not changing materially. And based on the 50% rule of FEMA, we can do about $478,000 of improvements without having to lift the house so the lowest habitable floor conforms to FEMA. We're never going to do that if we can avoid it. So this is the 1960 building permit. It was issued. I have to understand, I still don't understand why, because you needed variances. It didn't conform to setbacks at the time, but it's built. It's been there since 1961. This was the approval. The house, 2-story frame house under construction. This is dated it's building permit 1960. That's the same house it is, locations it's in now. And it says old boathouse. Well, the boathouse is gone, And the remains of that, the concrete slab, is our terrace deck out there. It's basically the same parcel. This is the Army Corps of Engineer permit and the Water Resources Commission. That was the predecessor of the DEEP permits, saying we approved the construction and this is the plan that shows, the site plan that shows where it's going to be. So these are all part of your records, and there's the C of O, issued in September 1961. So, proposed conditions. There's 0.63 acres in the 1 acre zone. We've got 450 feet along Pear Tree Point Road and 600 plus along the Goodwives River. Long, narrow, not much depth, and the house is located on basically the fattest part of the property, the deepest part. And it's not near any trees or any houses or anything else. Our front yard is 55.9 from the center line of Pear Tree Point Road, which isn't the typical 50-foot width. So we measure from the center line, add 25 feet, 40-foot front yard setback, add 25, 65 is what's required. We're at 55.9. The rear yard is 0 because we're right at the edge. And in fact, part of it extends over. And 40 feet is required. We have the AC unit over the water that we've talked about. And Woody did a really nice map, which sort of highlights. This is the addition for the dormer. This is where the equipment pad for the AC units and the generator will go, and we're relocating that generator back here to the front. And then this shows the propane tank being buried. So there's a lot of reduction in nonconformities here. Let's see. In addition, the existing furnace, air handlers, et cetera, are in the lower level at elevation 9. We're going to fix that. They're all going to go up to elevation 15. The electrical panel and outlets are all below elevation 15. Those are below elevation 15. We're going to raise them. The electrical panel is going to go on the second floor. The propane tank we talked about, there are no flood vents now. We're putting flood vents in. We need variances of 55.9 versus 65 feet from the center line of Pear Tree Point Road for the electrical pad, or the pad for the HVAC and the generator. We need a variance of 4.5 versus 40 feet for the rear yard dormer. Okay? I have an email from Jeff McDougall. It's one of the last ones he sent me. You don't know?
Mm-mm.
He passed away on July 4 weekend.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Mm.
So, I mean, he was a beloved colleague and really good guy.
I didn't know that at all.
Who just passed away over that weekend. And
Thanks.
anyway, good guy. I'm going to miss him. But he said there's no buildable area on the front because the front and rear yard setbacks overlap. That's part of the package we sent. You can't build anything here without a variance. That's a hardship.
Is septic changing?
I'm sorry?
Septic, is it changing?
No. We're not making any changes to, and I don't, we could hook up to the sewer. I don't know if he plans to do that. I don't think he has to. So what we're doing is going to relocate the mechanicals in the ground floor. They'll be suspended from the garage ceiling and above elevation 15, at 15 or above. The electric panel is going to go up into, this is the mudroom here. Electric will go on the second floor, and all the outlets will be up at elevation 15. We're at elevation 9 on the first floor. 15 means it's a bit of a haul. It's 6 feet up, and the kids aren't going to be able to plug the electrics in. But they'll suck it up. We'll get them ladders or step stool. We're going to replace windows. We're going to install the flood vents. On the main floor, this is now a Jack and Jill bath for the 2 bathrooms. We're going to separate it into private baths en suite, and the powder room will get retiled. We're gonna fix the front door, the doors of the cabinets and stuff like that, not a whole lot going on there. The electric panel will probably go up into this bedroom. I'm not sure I want that bedroom, but that's where it'll be. And on the master suite, master bedroom, it's on the south side, look with the windows overlooking it and the deck that you saw. This is the dormer right in here, and we've got to pop the roof out and make a deck out there. It's going to be, I think, open because he's Bo Malpass is the designer, and he's got windows and doors here. So this will be outside with a roof over it. It's a gable roof. And there's going to be some tweaks and some upgrading, retile the master bath. And that's basically it. And we have a letter from Christopher Hall, the architect, saying that he can design this to meet flooding forces or comply with FEMA. We'll install flood vents to comply and will equalize the flood pressure. And Bo's professional estimate is that it'll be $380,000, which is about 40% of the assessed value. So we're not doing a substantial improvement. We're not required to lift the house to comply with FEMA. The variances we need are 55.9 versus 65 from the center line of Pear Tree Point Road, and 4.5 versus 40 for the rear yard of the dormer. Our hardships are the small size of the lot, the unusual configuration shape, very wide, not deep, no buildable area due to the upgrading of the regs over time. The structure's existed since 1961. It was placed on mean high water in 1961, the original placement of it. And there's no change to the exterior house except a portion of the roof line. And in addition, and this is the peg on which you can hang your hat here, we are really reducing nonconformities. And you have the chart here. I won't go over it. I've reiterated it a million times, but there's a million, not a million, but there's like 15 nonconformities that we're making comply. And that alone is like a home run in terms of you giving us this variance. As far as I'm concerned.
Well, aren't you having a good evening?
This is good. I like this one. This is here's what's going on. The owners are spending a ton of money to bring this home into compliance with FEMA. All mechanical, electrical will comply. The flood vents will be installed. We'd like to have some amenities for the investments we're making, and you need to encourage people to make these investments to comply with FEMA. So let's get a dormer here. That's all.
Is there architectural significance to this home?
It's over 50 years old, so it's, quote, historical under our rather cavalier definition of historical. And we'll have to talk to Marion Castell before we start touching it. But that's, I don't think there's really historical significance.
It's not
to
a
it.
Frank Lloyd Wright or something?
No, not to my knowledge, it's not, no. But
Okay.
it's cool.
Okay,
Okay.
great.
So, and I would say there's very unusual circumstances here that are not likely to be repeated.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. Go ahead, you go ahead.
Yeah.
Please, if that's okay.
Yeah, I was gonna,
Yeah.
yes, please.
Okay.
Questions,
I know
sorry,
again,
sorry.
same questions I had last time, which is, you got me on uniqueness, but why do you really need the dormer, or is it, give us that.
You know what? You want me to do all this FEMA stuff? Give me a dormer. It's like, I don't mean it that way, but that's, I think that, I don't mean to be so brash, but you guys should be encouraging people to comply with FEMA. And if you're going to only say you gotta comply with FEMA, then nobody's gonna do it. You need to give people an incentive to invest in FEMA compliance. That means some amenities for the owners who are doing that investment.
I think I made that argument at last hearing, not in relation to FEMA, but something else, so I don't really disagree, but can we run through just very quickly your substantial chart of reduction in?
Oh, sure. I thought it was done.
So the first one is the rear yard, which is currently -4, and so it's now gonna be 0, so I guess that's 1, right?
That's, let me bring it up just a sec. It's towards the very end.
It's the second to last page.
There we go. So AC unit is -4, we're going to be compliant.
Well, just quickly on, so the first thing is, well, AC, it's blank.
Well, the AC unit violates the rear yard setback, it's -4, it will comply when it's done.
Will it, I thought the AC unit was going into.
It will comply with the rear yard.
Right. but-
It will now
but
be
it's
violating the
creating-
front yard
it's creating an
slightly.
additional front yard, right?
Yeah.
So while we get 4 here, we lose it elsewhere.
Yeah, the elevation is at 15, is supposed to be at 15, we're at 8.3, we will comply. So it'll be FEMA
Right,
compliant.
right, okay, so that will become FEMA compliant. Air handlers are at 15, so I guess,
They're at 9, they'll go to
they'll
15.
go up, so that's getting better. The electrical panel, supposed to be at 15, it's at 11 or 12, so the electrical.
It's going to be
panels-
closer to 21.
So the
because-
air handlers, the electric panels are moved
Yeah.
higher. Same thing with the electrical outlets, they're
Yep.
moved up. And then it's just a propane tank, take it from the front yard and bury it
Right, and then we're installing flood vents.
in flood vents, okay? Okay, I just wanted to understand that.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Sorry, I could have run through it, but I thought it was, okay, great. Any other questions?
It's my job.
What?
Totally kidding. Are there any other questions from the board at this time? Barb, you okay? Dan, you okay?
Yeah.
Matt?
Good.
You're all good? You okay?
Yeah.
Good, okay. I'm
Thank
good.
you all.
And is there anybody from the audience that'd like to be heard on this matter, application? No. Okay, with all of that said, I'm closing this application.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Gleason. You got both those done in the time of the first. Good for you. Well done, sir. Okay, everybody. West Avenue was continued, so we don't need to worry about that. We'll see them on September the 21st. And that brings us to, sorry, lost my place. No worries, thank you. Togany Trail. Okay, comments, questions, concerns from the board on
I love it.
application 8, 2022, 25 Tokenie Trail.
I love this.
You okay?
I know this house, it's a tricky house, and I think everything they've done is a massive improvement. It's architecturally smart, it's beautiful, it makes sense, and I think there is hardship after hardship here. I mean, I wrote them all out. The topography of the site, where it's situated, it's close to the water, the shared driveway. I love that there's neighbor support, you're upgrading septic, I think it's all upside, I'm good with it.
Fine. Dan?
No, I was saying, I know this property very well, I walk across this almost every day, so.
Okay.
The lot is really unique, it's, the property is on the ledge, and the reasons are all valid, safety issues there, uniqueness of the property, they're refusing some non-conformity, I support it 100%.
Okay, great. Matt?
I agree for all the reasons said, especially because it's not like they're actually increasing the height of anything. They're just changing the grade of the structure with regards to how the land is, so this is more than agree.
Great. Kevin?
I mean, I somewhat echo what everybody said. I love what you guys are doing with it, and I appreciate that this increase in height is really a mathematical thing and not an actual increase in height, and I think it makes the home look better. For us, it's just we have to comply with state law and the authority we're given, and as I said in my comments, I think there certainly are multiple unique things about the property. The question only for me is whether those unique things have created a hardship that unless we give you this variance, you're going to be deprived of substantial justice in the use of your property, and that's a close call for me. I get the point about safety and how you have young kids, I think they're young, and if you have a nanny, and wanting to have the garage attached. So on balance, given that the neighbors are supportive of it, I am generally supportive of the application, despite my little bit of unease about whether this is truly a hardship. I guess you've made a prima facie case out about safety being enough of a reason, so I'm supportive.
Okay. With that said, do I have a motion? Motion to approve? And do I have a second? Barb, second. Dan motioned and Barb seconded.
Thank you.
All those in favor? Okay, great, that's 5-0. All right. Moving on to calendar 9, 2022, the application of Gleason Associates on behalf of Charles and Kristen Collier at 65 Pear Tree Point Road. Comments, questions, concerns from the board?
It's all rosy on this one too, so maybe I should go right to Kevin. I mean, again, like, I think it's all it's all upside and very little downside. I mean, what they're proposing with the dormer makes it more functional. I get that it's in a non-conforming space, but I don't know where you go with a house like this. They could tear it
You're
down
not
and do
going
something else. This is a fantastic accommodation. All upside. I love what Wilder said, but you gotta give people accommodations for FEMA compliance. I love it. I agree.
Okay?
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Dan?
I agree with that.
Great. Matt?
Fully agreed. I was swayed by all the reduction in nonconformities, but even without that, it sounds like a great project, so.
Okay. Kevin?
Come on, watch you.
Come on,
I
Kevin.
think respectfully, I think the reductions in nonconformance are minimal. I don't think they are substantial. They're moving in air conditioning structure from one side of the house to another non-conforming location, and we're burying a tank that's illegal and unpermitted. We're raising some things within the house and putting in the flood vents, which is important. And as I made this argument at a previous hearing about, we do need to give people reason to come into more conformance, and sometimes there's a trade. And this is, I guess, a small enough addition, this dormer, that I could be supportive of, but I just want to caution you, Wilder, for future applications. I'm growing uncomfortable with we'll do things we should do anyway if you give us things. I just want to caution you that it's making me uncomfortable. This is a small enough give that matches in, I think, close enough return what we're getting, that I'd be supportive of it, but I just want to caution you in the future about.
This is why I love listening to you guys. I learn every evening.
Okay,
when
yeah.
I make a presentation.
I love what Kevin just said. I agree with you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Woody, I'm sorry, I may not have deferred to you on the previous application, but everybody was moving right along, so you okay? You okay over there?
Yeah, I thought what was significant here, and Wilder referred to it, you overlay the setbacks.
Yeah, right.
And try to find the most conforming part of the property. There ain't any other than the least non-conforming.
Right.
At least the equipment thing is smack in the middle of that. Dormer's a little off skew, but it is right over the existing house, so it doesn't look like a stretch from the way we can analyze the survey anyway.
Okay.
But I do tend to agree that it seems a little weird that, let's find a bunch of things that we can fix, that we should fix anyways, just so we can get what we want. Now, I'm not, maybe we should be more permissive in what we allow them to get without requiring, move the air conditioner over here or whatever, but
In my mind, I probably would have granted the dormer without those gives. I'm looking at it from a practical standpoint. I don't think they're asking for a huge adjustment in the space. It's minimal to make that a functional space. But I agree. I love your comment.
And if we were the planning board, then yeah, 100%. I'm on board. I think it's better. I think it's better for the
But we're a
community.
zoning board.
But we're not. We're bound by statute to what we can approve. That's
You're
my
right.
only concern.
You're right.
Okay, understood. Thank you, Wilder. Give me 10 more seconds. 10 more seconds. You don't have to give me anything. You're good. Okay. Do I have a motion to approve?
I will approve.
Barb, motion to approve. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Matt seconded the motion. All those in favor to approve? That's 5-0.
Great night.
Nice weekend. Good or nice evening.
It's almost
I
like
should
it's
say.
presented before to the board.
I know, right? Okay.
Nice job.
Well, the first one took. Oh, channel 70. Oh,
No,
wait
no.
a second. I'm
That's
sorry.
another.
I'm sorry. I was like ready to delete. Okay, we're going to move on to other business, of which I don't really have in front of me. I will in a second.
You need this?
Yeah, I got it. Okay. And I got to get my other glasses out. It's been a while since I've done this. Okay, approval of minutes for March 16th. I think I did that. Mike's not here. Kevin, did you? I did it by email.
Yeah, I looked at that, they were fine.
You're okay? Barb, are you
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah, I thought so,
Okay,
yeah.
so let's see. Me, Kevin, and Barb. That's only three, but we only need three to approve the minutes.
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay, all in favor? Okay,
Aye.
good. That's approved. Approval of minutes of May 18th. ZBA members Mike, Kevin,
Yeah, fine.
Matt,
Okay.
Dan.
we're all here.
and- Oh, I wasn't here. Oh, is everybody okay with those minutes?
Yeah.
Okay, great. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Item number 3, we're going to table until September 21st. I took, item number 4 is approval of 2023 meeting schedule. I took a look at it.
I agree.
I'm fine
I'm
with
good
it.
with it, too.
Everybody okay?
Can somebody make a motion
Oops.
for approval of that?
Oh, approval of meeting minutes?
Yeah, it's
Oh,
just-
or the meeting schedule? Sure. Can you make a motion to approve?
Make a motion?
Second. All those in
Okay.
favor? Thank you.
Barb seconds, all in
Okay,
favor.
yep, yep.
Thank you.
Report on
That's-
commission researching possibility regarding historic.
What do you need
Okay,
on the
that's
20?
you. We'll move that, we'll table that. Then number 6, possible scheduling a meeting town, we'll table that. Any other business? And we'll table that one too. Okay.
I can address number 5 quickly if you want to do that. It's done. It's already accounted for in the planning and zoning regs.
Mhm.
We can, as a board, make that arbitrary decision to give a property a variance for historical significance, if we choose to.
Okay.
It's not something that we're going to formally institute. I'm talking to council and other people, everybody feels like, sure, we can factor that in. It's a unique property, if it's over 50 years old, we can take that into
But can
consideration.
that standing on its own?
Not on its own.
Right.
I mean, it'd be tough for us to do.
Yeah,
There is
not
no
on
legal
its own,
precedent on its
yeah.
own.
Okay.
So we want to find another supporting variance.
Okay.
It turns out the Planning and Zoning Commission does have a vehicle, if you will,
Yeah.
to define a property as special. And then they can make some accommodations on it. But it is a process of the owner has to agree to submit to protect the town landmark status and
Mhm.
go through a process.
Okay.
We'll have to see if that's really workable or not.
Yeah.
I don't know yet.
Okay. Fair enough.
To be continued. Thanks, Jeff.
Okay. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion.
Second. Do I have a second motion to adjourn? I got Dan, I saw Dan's hand first, I did see Matt's. So Barb motion to adjourn, Dan seconded. All those in favor for adjournment? All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a
All
wonderful
right.
August.
Thanks, Jeff. Nice work.
Yeah, thank you. You too. See everybody September 21st.
Too much.